You're about to see how the SviSound OverZoid amp sounds going into a 2x12 box loaded with vintage 30s. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, folks. My name's Shane. You're listening to the SviSound OverZoid amplifier. I can't believe something this small is 50 watts. It's crazy. Let's take a look up close. All right, here's the amplifier up close. Now on this side we have a master output volume. So the further up you turn it, the louder the pedal's going to get, or the amplifier I should say. Depends in which way you're using it, I guess. But this master volume works when you're using the speaker output to an actual speaker box in amplifier mode. So that's how that works. It does nothing when you bypass this speaker output and you're using it as a preamp pedal or a preamp into another amplifier. So we also get a 3-band EQ as well, bass, middle, and treble, which is really great. We also get a volume control as well as a gain control, which sounds great. It kind of does that off-clean thing beautifully, and it will get a little bit hairy if you crank up the gain a little too much. For my money though, it sounds great anywhere from here backwards. Anywhere from there up, it gets a little muddy sounding to my ear, but that's just me. So we also get like what would be a channel volume for all of this as well. So this is the volume you would use if you're using this, say, into the effects loop or something else, or as a pedal in the chain, or pushing another amp. On the front, we also have a power standby control as well as a cab sim button. I'm going to leave the cab sim button off as we're actually using it with a speaker box. On the back of the unit, as you can see, we have an input for our guitar, a send and return, so an effects loop essentially, and we also have the power cable here, or the power connector. Now this particular power connector works with laptop power supplies and it doesn't work with every single one of them, but I found one that works, and I'll leave some links in the description below so you can check out the right power supply for this. It will not work on a conventional 9-volt power supply that you would find for most pedals, as it is an amplifier. It requires way more power, and yeah, it's extremely loud. Get this master volume up and it's brutal. So yeah, 50 watts in such a small lightweight package. Yeah, how about that? A massive thanks to Mark from SviSound for sending this out. I really appreciate it. If you want to find out more about it, links will be in the description below. And one of the cool things about this particular setup today, we're not only going to hear this just pushing this big speaker box on its own, we're also going to hear this with both of the reverb and delays going in at different times into the effects loop. And then we're also going to see how this works as a preamp going into this Joyo on the clean channel. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm playing my PRS SE. This is all stock, and we've got the amp going into a 2x12 box from Joyo loaded with Celestion Vintage 30 speakers. And I've got one of them, the bottom one right here, mic'd up with a Rode M3. And as you can see from the amplifier, I've got the volume cranked, which is the master overall volume. Then I've got the actual volume here also cranked. So we're going to give this a shot as clean as we can get it with the gain pretty much off. Here we go. So it does the clean thing beautifully, and as soon as you start to wind up the gain even a little bit, the volume goes up because you're increasing the gain. So here we go. That's kind of that off clean tone a lot of people strive for. Let's go to both pickups. I'll play some percussive sort of stuff. Man, it feels good to play, and that's one of the most important things with any amp. Like, you dig in and it kind of wants to take off a little bit. I like that a lot. Let's try now with the gain up at about 12 o'clock, and as you can see, I've also turned the master volume down a little bit right now. Actually, let's just nudge it up a little bit more. 1 o'clock. It gets loud the more gain you sort of add, so let's give this a shot. Man, that's a great tone. I'm going to turn down and see how it sounds, if it cleans up. Little more. More again. And all the way up. And over the neck. Cool. Let's give it a shot now with some traditional humbuckers thanks to this Tokai Love Rock electric guitar. It's based on a Les Paul, and I've got the gain on the pedal or the amplifier cranked, and I've just turned down the volume a little bit and also wound the bass off as well, so you can hear how this sounds now just for some big chords. Man, oh man, that's pretty cool. Let's try that with some delay. Yeah, all right. Should we crank the gain up some more? Why not? So this is pretty much all the way up minus just a little bit. Let's see how this sounds. Yeah, all right. All right, I'm cranking the gain. The white noise on the amp is a whole lot louder, but let's see if we can get this to feed back. Alright, so you can definitely take it into that kind of zone. I found though it gets a little muddy with the gain all the way up, at least with my particular setup. So keep the gain down below about 3 o'clock and it sounds great. Let's see what the EQ controls can do now on this pedal. Everything's back at 12 o'clock. Let's give this a go. Crank up the low end. Just with it down. Mid's up to about 9 o'clock. 3 o'clock, I mean. Actually got louder when I cranked that up. Let's try it with it down. Let's go back to 9 o'clock. One of the great things about Mark from SviSound, every pedal I've got from him that has like a couple of band EQ or whatever on there, or I know this is an amp, but even his pedals, they all sound good with everything at 12. I kind of like that. It's a great starting point. Let's turn up the treble control now, up to about 3 o'clock. Here we go. And down. Yeah, that's not enough for this particular setup. And back to 12. It's a great starting position with everything at 12 o'clock. I kind of like it with that up at about 1. Mids up just a little bit and the bass back just a little bit. Nice and simple. One of the cool things about the OverZoid amp is you can use it as a preamp going into either another amplifier or something else in your signal chain as a conventional pedal. So I've unplugged the speaker box from the OverZoid and that's now plugged into the band amp. And this amp's on the clean channel and it only has one tone control, which is right in the center here. So we now have a 3-band EQ as well as a different flavor of drive going into this amp, which has a sort of like a Mesa Boogie style tone. So let's take a listen. Little more drive. Now, if we want less tops, we can turn the tops down, bring the bass back a little bit. All right. A little bit more drive. I'm actually going to back the volume off. Probably not my kind of tone, but you've got that option if you want to run it like that. Thanks again for watching, folks. My name's Shane. So what do I think of this overall? So tone-wise, it's pretty cool. I didn't really like having the gain too far up. It just sounded a little bit muddy to my ear with all of my guitars. So anywhere below about 3 o'clock and backwards sounds pretty cool. I really liked it with the gain up at about 1 or 2 o'clock. That's about as far as I would probably push this. And running it as a preamp into the Joyo, I gotta tell you, I didn't really like that as much as just running this straight into the box on its own. I think that just sounded way, way better, but let me know in the comments what you think. One of the other cool things about an amp this small is you could just Velcro it to your pedal board and use it in case of an emergency. It doesn't have to be your main amp. So if you're at a gig and your main amplifier head carks it at the gig, you could then chuck this into your speaker box and you'd be good to go. It's really loud. I couldn't run it with the volumes or both volumes all the way up in here. It's brutal. So it is extremely loud. One of the small downsides of this particular amp is the fact that you do need a laptop style power supply. Now, most people have a laptop, but not everyone will have the right pin. I have an old, what was it, a Samsung laptop from years ago. And the thing with that is it didn't actually fit. I had to order one off eBay, but Mark was nice enough to show me which one I needed to buy. And then we were good to go. So yeah, because of that, you do get more volume. If you're running it with a lower wattage or lower ampage, you might not get the full 50 watts. So just make sure you buy the right power supply for this. It won't work off a regular, say, 9 volt like what's powering this pedal back here. You won't get anything out of it at all. Another thing I've said about Mark from SviSound, I think he makes maybe the most unique pedals in the world in terms of their visuals. This steampunk design, even on this little amp here, looks fantastic as well. And this is kind of like the tip of the iceberg of his designs. I think they're great. If you're on Instagram, go check him out. He's got some amazing, amazing stuff. I've been lucky enough to test quite a bit of it over the years as well. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Thanks guys. See ya.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and click the bell for video notifications.